But let's get into this series, man. This has been an insane
So,
series.
Brett, I want to say this first. I am so happy for Sacramento, for the city of Sacramento, for the Sacramento Kings fan base that has been deprived. Like I think a lot of the crowds have been awesome, and like games with stakes are infinitely better everywhere. But like it seems like a fucking party in Sacramento at these games. It seems awesome. Everyone is engaged. It feels like the crowd is connected, not even artificially. Like we go to enough games, and there's so much artificial noise. There's so much artificial like gimmicks and chants.
T-shirt
Like
tosses, yeah.
I don't know if like the Suns do this, but the Cavs staff loves to like put logos of teams up on the jumbotron of teams they know people largely don't like, so they can boo. So like the other night they put the Yankees logo up. It's very corny. It's very stupid. Like
Is there
I
even
think
like a
on
genuine like Yankees Guardians
yeah. Oh
thing?
yeah. Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
it's like there's
I
like a
know
New
like
York
the 90s
thing.
there was some series, but like come on, I don't know.
But they put like the Steelers logo up. They put like I mean, honestly, they should just put a picture of Art Modell up, and like you will get like a bloodthirsty crowd like ready to ride in Cleveland, Ohio. But like this Kings crowd doesn't like need that. Like, yes, there's some
I know.
villainy in Draymond, and I think like rooting against the Warriors for them is probably particularly very fun. But they are so joyous. They are so engaged with their team. They are so connected to what that team is that it is making this beautiful environment for basketball. And I
Yeah.
like honestly, every other fan base needs to step their goddamn game up and try to match what the Kings are providing the rest of the place because this fucking rocks.
Yeah. Who knows if we're getting a game 5, but if we get a game 5,
Wow, wow, wow,
it will
wow.
be rocking, I'm sure. Yeah, there's been like tons of people all over the internet posting that their Apple Watches. I want the cut screen of the game happening and then whatever the Apple call center is of all of like the Mayday 5 alarm alerts that are going off because the decibel level is out of control, and it's like the health and well-being of these people is being called into jeopardy by their high-tech watches because it is just that loud. But look, this team has completely given them something to cheer for. And you mentioned Jacques Vaughn in that other series. I think that's a great example of what coaching can do. Maybe we'll talk about it in Suns Clippers. But man, if it isn't true of this series as well. It's both though, right? I think Mike Brown, like the way that they're controlling the possession game, the fact that they are running a bunch of pick and roll, which they did not do a lot during the regular season, busting stuff out like having Alex Len be the
Who's been
backup
awesome.
center.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's like a plus 17 in 18 minutes out of nowhere, just like completely mothballed during the regular season. And then here he is just getting dunks and cutting to the basket and rim protection and size and all the stuff that he's giving you. And the players are not afraid of this Warriors team. And like you have to say all of that. You can't just make it the coaching, but it has been a coaching masterclass, the familiarity of Mike Brown against this Golden State staff that he was on for many, many years. Coupled with just the way he's just polished this Kings team into something that they don't have any reason to be worried. They know what they are, and they were right to believe it could transport into the playoffs. It has without a problem, and they're awesome, man. They are rolling, and I mean, look, they already have a 2-0 lead. It's not exactly crazy to say that they have a very good shot at winning this series, but I think I texted you like early in the third. I was like, the Kings are winning this game. They put this
Yeah.
team in foul trouble. They were playing with confidence. They were getting downhill. Nobody could defend anything that they were doing. And Curry was good, all that stuff. But even without Draymond getting ejected, I think they win this game.
No, I agree. And this is without, Sabonis, I don't think has had like the level of Sabonis games he had in the regular season in either of these games. He had 24 on 8 of 12 in this game, 9 boards, but like game one, he wasn't particularly effective. He didn't look right, like didn't play right. Golden State did a very good job of containing him, walling up on him, making his life really hard on the DHOs. And when he would try to do those little duck-ins and drives to the basket, he was better in this game, but it's not high volume. Like Fox was 10 to 23 in this game. He was 2 of 10 from 3. And like some of this stuff just isn't fades them. They're getting amazing production on Malik Monk. And I think Brendon, you're right in just saying it radiates from the fact that they know exactly what they are. I think that is an NBA superpower that like it's hard to quantify. Like I think we are both to some degree like numbers people, right? Like I love going to clean the glass, looking and kind of using that data to break stuff down. I love I will look at the analytics. I will look at that stuff. We will talk about contract value in the summer and like how much do you like kind of quantify some of the stuff and what does that mean you pay certain people. I just look at what the Kings are and I look at what Mike Brown has done. And it's like, what is a team about? It is about accountability and it's about taking the players you have and molding them into what fits these players best. There's other series that we will talk about where there's one team in particular, the team I cover primarily, that I think like is really having something of an identity crisis at times. That is sometimes like I don't think they always know what they are or what they want to be. The Kings are never going to have that problem. They this series, any future series, years to come, as long as this nucleus and Mike Brown is there, like they know what they want to be. They know what the foundation is, and they're able to, but them being able to adjust in the way they did is only I think really possible unless you have that foundation, right? Like unless you know exactly what you are and that the personnel can do it. Scaling up the pick and rolls, scaling up the way you're attacking Kevon Looney and Draymond Green and all of that stuff. Understanding that like the way they're throwing two bodies at Steph and just sticking with him. There was a play in this game, Brendon, that it's I don't even know I think it ended with a rebound for Golden State on like a bad pool shot or something. They like the Warriors were like, okay, we need to get Steph loose. They tried to run elevator doors for Steph and had all these secondary actions off of it and try to create chaos, which is what they do. And Sacramento, which is not a good defensive team, was like, nope, shutting this down. Held stuff perfectly, reacted perfectly. Like everything about this team has been in sync. Everything about this team is in concert with each other. The level of play they are at is so impressive. They were our team of the regular season. They are the team of the very, very beginning. Obviously, they're the team of the playoffs so far. That is the environment of the playoffs so far to me.
Absolutely. And a few more things that they've done to adjust here. Because, yeah, they know what they are, but I think, that's, I guess, the balance of it, right? The players are building off of the identity that they established. I feel like the Kings, as a coaching staff, are expanding and kind of adjusting and bending what they are in real time. And that's what's been so awesome and exciting. And a big reason why they're winning these games, they have Harrison Barnes, who I believe now has 7 offensive rebounds through the first 2 games. He averaged 1 per game in the regular season. Monk, I would say, isn't always the most consistent player, and he was not nearly as good in this first game as he was in the second game as he was in the first game. But just the idea of getting him downhill, and especially to close out game 1, they absolutely had nothing to do about that. Kevon Looney was just smacking fouls into Malik Monk. He got to the line 14 times, made all 14 of those. He was pretty effective again tonight. They closed with him. They're closing small. They don't care. Keegan Murray does not have a major role in this series, and it hasn't even stopped them. And so it's a huge testament to them. But you said something that I actually am curious if we have to reevaluate. You said that this is not a good defensive team. I don't know if I'm like fully sold that they aren't. Like it's funny, but I really feel like they at least execute a game plan and compete. I continue to believe that their pace of play, the fact that they are so focused on and sold on offense, and the fact that their personnel is just, it lacks the size and athleticism that you would want if you were to just pick, players out of a hat and start a new a team fresh. You would definitely not want, some of their personnel, but everything else, it's good.
I think the executing the game plan stuff is where I think the defense comes in, because like there's no like metric for them in the regular season that tells you this is a good defensive team. But 2 games, like they have absolutely nailed the game plan against the Warriors. They are not. Think about how many teams we've seen bamboozled, like confused, put in the spinner, just absolutely KO'd by what the Warriors are offensively and the read and react stuff. And even though there's all this film, the talent of Golden State wins out. The scheme and the chaos of Golden State wins out. The Kings are just prepared for it. And I think a couple things have helped them. Number one, we're just in an era of Draymond where he doesn't look to shoot anymore. You can just sag off of him entirely, and like he will get the ball on the wing, and it's just like he's not even looking. And like that is just it's hard to have that lack of spacing in this NBA. Secondly, Jordan Poole has been awful. He's been awful. He's been bad this whole year, I think, for the most part. But I think a lot of the decision making and the finishing in this game was really, really bad. And it can't all be Steph. It can't all be Clay. Like, Wiggins, it's not really fair. Like, it's not, like Wiggins has looked, I think, pretty solid for coming back, but it's hard to ask him to ascend when he just is coming back really from this long absence. And they need more from Poole. The Draymond stuff is tricky. We should probably hit on the Draymond thing just because, I wonder now also, the big thing hanging over this now, it's a throwback to 2016 is he going to get suspended for that play? Did he put himself in jeopardy to miss game 3, a game that the Warriors absolutely need to win if they want to win the series and make the series competitive again? Draymond put himself at risk.
What do you think what do you think they'll do? Because I saw a lot of people, and I think this is how I feel. That's why you come here, folks, so I can say I think this is how I feel. No, my view on it is that Sabonis, I'm fine with how they called it in the game tonight, because I do feel like the excessive force of stomping on another player, you can't have that.
That was a move you really see in a WWE ring. That's what that move looked like. It looked literally.
But as far as determining a suspension or anything like that, I have a hard time coming down on just Draymond getting suspended and Sabonis basically the only punishment just being that flagrant one, because he did instigate it. Whether the response was equivalent to the initial or any of that, obviously it doesn't seem like it was. But how can you suspend Draymond for reacting to somebody? That doesn't feel realistic. I know it's similar to LeBron, but in the case of Sabonis this time, I feel like it was more obvious, more egregious. And I don't know if you realize this, Chris, but Domantas Sabonis is not LeBron James. So they're going to be more likely to punish Sabonis than maybe they would have LeBron. Let's just be real there too.
Yeah, and I think this one's a little more two-sided than that. And I think also the stakes, there's not an accumulation of Draymond stuff. I don't think he should get suspended either. But if he does, it's off a reputation. It would be off a reputation if he's getting suspended for that. And
I actually wonder if the way he reacted to the crowd during all that might affect
that was also
it too. He dug himself a deeper hole by doing that.
But this is look, Draymond is an icon. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He is all of these amazing things. This is just one of the, I was texting about the turnover stuff with Golden State in this game and just the lack of carefulness. You're that's who they are. This is kind of also who Draymond is. And at a certain point, though, you just need him to turn down the volume a little bit in these certain spots to not put yourself at risk here. Your season, you're down 2-0. Your season is on the line.
Mm-hmm.
This era of the Warriors is to some degree on the line with, we know what the CBA changes and the money and all of this stuff, right? This is a really loaded time for Golden State, and you need to just not do that stuff. You can't put yourself at risk at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And the kind of weird joy he seemed to get out of all of it when it's maybe the Warriors win that game if he's in there as a rim protector and pick and roll defender. They were just able to really score on Looney a lot down the stretch and extend their lead and make it so that some Curry shot making and everything else just wasn't going to be enough. But as obnoxious as he is, that's the reality, right? Draymond is the only reason that I think they've even had a chance in these games. He's the only reason that their defense has been able to hold up at all against the onslaught that the Kings are bringing on them. And so they need him. I don't think they win game 3 without him. And obviously, if you're down 3-0, history tells us you're done. So I don't think they will suspend him, but he's got to be more careful. Because like you said, it was cumulative in that Cavs series because it was the finals. So there was a whole playoff ahead of that. The technicals obviously had actually added up. This wasn't a one-off thing. And that's what happens when you have that demonstrated thing. So doing this in game 2 doesn't exactly set him up for success going forward either, to be on his best behavior, but we'll see.
The last thing I think we should say about the series is, again, just the Kings are in the driver's seat. I don't know. We'll see what game 3 looks like. This could easily be 2-2 coming back to Sacramento. That would not surprise me. It's not like this. They've been blowing out the Warriors, but they've won 2 games. and they've looked really good and they look comfortable. I think there are some clear adjustments Golden State's going to have to make and figure some stuff out. Like, do they have to just play smaller? Can Wiggins give you more? Can they get something from Poole? Like, there are questions to figure out here.
Yeah, I think Poole will play better at home, and I think you got to play Kuminga. That's one thing I thought he actually was
Mhm.
pretty good against Fox in game one. I thought that when he was able to just guard, an ISO or pick and roll and try to contain Fox's drives, I actually thought he was solid. He's just such a question mark offensively. His decision making is not always there, but it felt like Kerr was starting to trust him in the regular season, so I was pretty surprised that he didn't play as much. It felt like all of his minutes just went to Gary Payton, who played almost 30 after playing like in the teens the first game. And then I don't know, like the big thing that you notice with this team is they don't have the shooting. And
Nope.
they don't have Porter. They don't have Bielitsa, those guys from last year who were able to just complete some offensive lineups for them. I know Anthony Lamb is going to struggle to defend, but I've thought that we might see him, and I still think we might, just as a floor spacer. They upgraded his contract to a full NBA deal instead of a two-way before the playoffs over Ty Jerome and whatever. So I don't know why you do that if you don't at least try him. So I could see that at home too. But also the Warriors just play better at home, so that might be enough.